Hey, so we've shipped some awesome new features and then I'm going to take you through all of them today, mainly to make your QA flows fully autonomous and then to bring in simulated user insights for you, right? So first things first, it's a matter of adding the credentials to your application. This could be the prod environment or the dev environment that you add in. And afterwards, it's a matter of adding your existing knowledge base. This is all the documentation and then the walkthrough videos that you have, which our agent uses as a starting point of simulations, right? So then once we get into the QA flows, you could see what are the past QA flows that has been run. You could run one of them again as well, and then you could see the results also, like with regards of what are the ones that have been passed and failed as well. And if I initiate a new flow, right, so then now here we put up a standard prompt, right, where it says test and validate all core user journeys of the system as a real end user would, including signups, account creation, login access, account access, onboarding, initial setup, all these things, right? So this is a somewhat of a comprehensive prompt that we have put, but of course you could customize it as you need. And then of course you have the option to attach your PRDs as well. And then afterwards you could generate your test cases. Now this would start to generate test cases based on the application that you have added in, based on the past simulations, based on the past test flows that we have run on your application, and based on all the understanding that we have around your application, and then it would start to generate the test flows, right? So while this is being generated, I'm just going to go to one of the past simulations, right? So then now here it shows what are the ones that have been run, right? So then, and then out of that, what are the ones that have been passed and then failed as well, right? So there's been 2 runs done over here, right? So we could go into one of these, and then you have the option to actually view replays as well. So we've done quite a lot of enhancements to this replay mode, and then of course the mind map mode as well, right? So you could view a complete replay with regards of how the agent has actually explored the application based on these particular QA flows. Now once I go back here, now as you can see, it has this one that I just initiated, right? So it has actually generated the test cases for me, right? So then you have the option to actually go through them, accept or reject each of these, right? So once you go through all of this, right, and if you think that, right, okay, this particular, the test case number 7, right, it needs to be changed, and you have the option to refine the test cases as well, right? Then it's a matter of running the test cases, right? Then when you're running the test cases, you could select which browsers that you want to run this on as well, whether you want to do parallel execution as well, right? And then if you want to enable self-healing capabilities also. So once I click run, then what happens here is it gets into a queue, right? Now each of these gets initiated into one of virtual browsers, right? And then the agent would start to explore each and every one of these, right? So you could see the progress of how all of these are being done in the simulations page, right? So you could see how the agent is spinning up the virtual browser, and then what's the progress of that is, right? And then while all this is happening, you could see the mind map also. We brought in the GitHub integration and the Slack integration. So once you go to the automations page, you could see the GitHub integration. So the idea here is to make Marketrix part of your CI/CD pipeline. Whenever you open a PR or a merge PR, you could set a workflow for a Marketrix QA flow to be run automatically. Then we brought in Slack integration. So the main purpose of this is for us to give you alerts, right? So say the checkout flow is broken for the new user persona, or the mobile login flow is not working, right? So these sorts of alerts we could give you based on the QA workflow automations that we've set, right? And then at the same time, you could start running QA workflows right within Slack messages as well. Within Slack, you could simply say /Marketrix run checkout test, right? So, and then it would spin up a QA workflow for you, right? So those are the main things that we brought up on the QA automations front, right? And then we've brought in quite a number of features on the UX insights part, right? The main thing is the heat maps, right? This is where we start to understand how your real users are actually using the application as well, so that we use that understanding to actually enrich with regards of how well our agents are behaving as close to as your real users, right? Then the next thing is of course personas based on all these simulated user flows, right? And then at the same time the real user insights that we are getting through heat maps, right? we are able to create these personas, right? And then of course you have the ability for you to generate this, edit this. So one of the features that I'm super excited on to is this user reactions feature, right? So this is where you could actually simulate one of your users and then get an insight on what would this particular feature mean to this particular user persona type, right? Say for an example, there is a power use of your application, right? What would a power use tell about this new change that you did, right? Or else, I mean, with regards of your whole application, what would Steve Jobs think about your application, right? So these sorts of user reactions you are able to simulate and then get insights based on these simulations that we run based on these personas.